RWBY Episode 6 of Volume 5 is titled Known by Its Song, and although it's a necessary plot-building episode and progresses the plot of this volume fairly significantly, it was a bit lackluster with what we actually learned and the actual events that happened in the actual episode. It starts off that Qrow's looking for the other huntsman that he had initially mentioned that he knew would be willing to join him and Team Ranger as they were going to go to Raven's stronghold to bring back the Spring Maiden. And as we find out, as he's going through and looking at looking for each of the huntsmen and huntresses, we are finding out that, as we are left to assume, is that they're all dead. Qrow tries to track down each one of them individually, no luck. And he even goes to the, quest board, or mission selection area, where they have those giant hologram panels that have the missions that everyone's taken on and when they departed and so on and so forth. And we see that every person that Qrow has been looking for, their mission is either been undergone for weeks and months without anyone hearing anything, or it has already been terminated and there's nowhere to be, the huntsman or huntress is nowhere to be found. This doesn't really bode well for Qrow and Team Ranger at all, because now they have no other allies other than themselves, which we kind of assumed because, Leo being on Salem's side wouldn't want them to have any other allies. The sad part about it is that these people were Qrow's friends, as we saw at the end where he went back to the bar he had visited initially and paid off one of the huntsman's tab, saying his name is clear, meaning that, wants him to leave this world without people thinking poorly of him. The rest of the episode is, as I suspected, the conversation between Yang, Weiss, and Raven. Now, this is where the lackluster part of the episode comes in, because I thought this conversation was going to be groundbreaking, or that we were going to find out some dark truth that Ozpin was hiding. But in reality, we didn't end up getting that. What we did learn is that Qrow and Raven initially joined Beacon Academy to learn to kill huntsmen and huntresses, which actually makes sense because, them being bandits, as Raven stated, other than the Grimm, the only thing that throws a wrench into their plan is huntsmen and huntresses trying to stop them from doing raids. Eventually they form Team Stark, and Ozpin takes an interest in them, and then discloses the information of the secret of the world that they live in. And as Raven puts it, once she learned that secret, she couldn't help but want to learn more, and the more she learned, the darker the world became to her. Now, this great secret that she has been saying Ozpin's been hiding from everyone is one we already know. The Grimm have a master named Salem. Magic exists, and people come back from the dead. Those are the things that Raven discloses to Yang and Weiss. Nothing groundbreaking at all. To us, at least. To them, of course it would be, because it's pretty much turns the world upside down. But it doesn't put Ozpin as a bad person. Now, to prove to the Yang and Weiss that magic is real, Raven goes outside and says, "This is what Ozpin did to my brother and I." So we now know that Qrow turning into a Qrow and Raven can turn into a Raven, which, by the way, Yang recognizes, so Raven actually did care about her daughter a little bit. Not enough to be there in person, so she's not Mother of the Year or anything, but she still kept an eye on her as a Raven, so that, she could know what's happening in her daughter's life. At least that's something, I suppose. But she shows Yang and Weiss that she can turn into a Raven and says that Ozpin did this to her. And then, at the end of the episode, Raven opens up a portal and gives Yang and Weiss a choice. Either me or my brother Qrow. Just know if you join my brother that I may not be as nice to you this time. But, as Yang pointed out, Raven wasn't that nice this time around. But the main question that Raven asks her right at the end is, can you trust someone who's kept so much from you? Implying, can you really trust Ozpin now knowing what he has actually kept from you? And that, to me, that just sounds like such a stupid question to ask. Because if that information that Ozpin had became public, then there would be mass chaos. Either well, most likely mass chaos. Granted, I guess there's a slim chance that, everyone would rise up and fight the evil queen, but no, that wouldn't happen to be mass chaos. Grimm would just wipe everyone out at that point because panic, despair, etc., the way that the world of RWBY is set up. So that just doesn't seem very smart. And then, the very final of the episode, Yang and Weiss obviously do choose to take the portal because Yang is only concerned about RWBY, only concerned about her sister. So, she goes back, and we finally get the reunion of at least 3/4 of Team RWBY, which, is a heartwarming moment and does, of course, progress the plot. It's a main point of the plot, it's just overall this episode was a bit lackluster. But this raises the question, why does Raven actually despise Ozpin so much? Because the information that she wanted to, shatter Yang's and Weiss's vision of the world with was just what Qrow had already been telling Team Juniper, or Team Ranger. And it doesn't make sense to me. Qrow's already open about this, and he's wanting to fight against it. Same with Ozpin. And yeah, Ozpin is very old and has orchestrated all these things to, gain a little bit of power, have people loyal to him, which makes sense if you want to take on someone controlling an entire race, or entire legion, I suppose is a better word, of creatures that want to wipe out humanity. Why the hell wouldn't you want to fight against that? Because, well, other than the fact that you'd probably end up dying, but it's either death or you fight, try to win, and hopefully survive. Personally, I'd rather fight than just sit down and wait to die. Granted, I don't think Raven's necessarily sitting down and waiting to die, but she's not doing anything to help herself survive this overall thing other than just saying, well, Grimm will never kill me, so I'll just stay out of it. The entire thing just doesn't make sense to me. Why Raven is hating Ozpin so much. And she's pissed at him for, giving her the power to turn into a raven, which makes me think that it wasn't a very pleasant experience getting that ability, but, if it's something, that's fairly easy to gain that ability, then everyone would be doing it, so it was obviously fairly difficult for her, but it's still a new ability, and it doesn't seem to actually harm her transforming into a raven at all, so more explanation is definitely needed on that to elaborate on why Raven actually hates Ozpin so much. Because that entire conversation did nothing. It explained nothing to me why Raven is the way she is, why she just left her brother and despises Ozpin so much, and all of that. Glad that Team RWBY's starting to get back together. Kind of sucks that they don't have as much support as they were hoping for to take on Raven and get back the Spring Maiden. But overall, kind of disappointing with the information that we got. But, we'll see what happens in episode 7 of Volume 5. And hopefully that'll be out next week, unless we get another World of Remnant video. But we'll see when that comes, and my review will be out next week. So, see you in the next video.